Tokenmetrics is a cryptocurrency investment platform that helps users leverage machine learning to become better crypto investors. Our in-depth analysis helps eliminate the emotions of investing, find profitable investment opportunities, and filters out scams. Learn more at tokenmetrics.com.
We are live. I am back. This is the market update. I'm your host, Bill Noble. This show is brought to you by tokenmetrics.com, the best place to get research for crypto. If you've been listening to the wrong people or you need a roadmap in crypto, subscribe to this channel. Turn on the alerts bell so you know when we're going live. And if the content works for you, please drop a like. I'll trade you some alpha for a like. We're trying to break our record of 2,000. All right. So today, now that I'm back, we're going to go over some news and news analysis, right? And then I'm going to make a sort of like a daring statement, right? A daring statement. So let's welcome who's on the stream first. Okay, we've got Chris is here, Soli Sol, first group on the stream, right? Meta Moonverse is here. Edwin, welcome. All right. Yes, it's been too long. I'm back. What's up, Bill from Aiken and Carlo? Nico K is here, right? Tyson, Valerie, right? We have people coming in from the Middle East. Welcome, right? SKT is here. Appreciate the love. India up overnight, right? All right. Reverend Flashback, finally back. Dana from Jersey. Jason, not funny, is still praying for Celsius resolution from South Carolina, right? Andre giving me some notorious love, right? Chicago is here, right? Finally a market update. Wisconsin, right? Nairobi is here, right? We have Leeds, England, our friends. Right? Tokenmetrics Amsterdam. What's up with the blue shirt? I'll tell you. Okay. Driftless, good to see you. Always happy to be back. Right? Lawn Shark is here. Tennessee. Boss Nova in the house. Cyrus Crypto. Tampa. Portugal. Baltimore. Right? Right? Listen to this. I love this. Right? Soli Sol says Sam Fed is going to save everyone. So FTX is the crypto Fed. Actually, I think we started talking about that. And I think that's now become, kind of the standard way to refer to FTX, right? Some notorious love from Bays Island in Honduras. Thank you, right? We have Eastern Europe, Slovenia, Germany, Minneapolis, Los Angeles is here, right? Life Planner says goodbye to gold for now. Ouch. Right? We have Asia, right? Islamabad is here. Lincoln Heights, California. Downtown Toronto. All right. Kenneth from Riga is also here. All right. Now let's go into some news. Let's talk about the news, right? As our friends from Palm Beach, Florida come in. All right. And I think now is a good time to go through sort of like everything that's been happening, right? Because there's a lot of news flow. And the question becomes, all right, there's a lot of news flow, but how do we make sense of it all? Okay. So let's talk about this. Okay. So we're going to blow up this Google document here, and we're going to go through the news. Okay. FTX signs a deal with option to buy BlockFi. So this is Sam Fed, right? FTX is providing BlockFi with a $400 million revolving credit facility. Now that sounds good, right? So maybe BlockFi will be able to pay back or let their customers pull out their money. The question is that no one is asking, when people pull out their money, will they get 100% of their money back? Or will they get only a portion of their money back? These are the questions no one is asking. Okay. So it's a good headline, but if you only get 50% of, say, your ETH back, what will you do with your ETH? Will you hold it or will you sell it? All right. We'll examine this later, but you have to remember, as we go through this, this looks just like 1998 or 2008, where there's bailout after bailout. Okay. So Nexo signs a term sheet with Vault for potential acquisition. So in 2008, you had the Fed saving certain people. You had, those were the people who were too big to fail. You had banks merging with each other. You had JP Morgan take Bear Stearns. You had Bank of America take Merrill Lynch. All right. So we've seen all this before. Celsius repays $183 million in DeFi, and somehow, some way, right, Celsius got enough wrapped Bitcoin to move its liquidation price down to $2,000 for Bitcoin. That's great. I mean, obviously, we don't want anything to happen to Celsius or any Token Metrics customers or anybody else, right, who's impacted by the situation. But the question remains, where did Celsius get all that capital from? Okay. Now, that's an interesting question. The real question, which of course no one is asking yet, is, okay, Celsius got capital. So either they got capital in exchange for someone else owning a portion of Celsius, right? That's okay for crypto. But the question is, like, all these lenders that had everyone's money, right? They had assets. They had crypto that they were using as collateral somewhere, right? They were borrowing and lending and speculating in order to pay other people interest. Where are those positions? This is the $64 question in crypto. Now, with that said, okay, Three Arrows Capital files for bankruptcy. So now you have these like huge kind of sensationalist disaster headlines that like Joe Public and say the equities market crowd, more on that later. Everyone's like, oh my God, it's coming to the end of the world. Everyone's bankrupt. So keep in mind, remember when we used to say there's something out there and it ain't no man, right? We knew that there was a problem out there. So we wanted to sell the rumor or sell the concept and possibly buy the fact. So a lot of times when you get these reorganization headlines and such company files for bankruptcy, sometimes that can be the end. Now remember, in 2008, Lehman was bankrupt for 3 weeks before we really knew what it meant. Okay. But for the moment, for the July 6th market update, right? And then we have, it's kind of like the disaster headlines, right? Like crypto brokerage Voyager files for Chapter 11. So again, more sensationalist headlines, right? Okay. Alameda Research is listed as Voyager's largest creditors with an unsecured claim of $75 million. So as all these bankruptcies happen, as I said, there's a little bit of a contagion effect and people have bad position. But for today, right? So I'm going to take that document off the screen. For today, the idea is this. What do you do, right, when disaster headlines hit the tape, right? What do you do when everybody goes, oh my God, it's over, right? And of course, Rubical is saying, yes, men behaving badly as the way I described all this, which is people taking too much risk, right? Or everybody taking the same risk at the same time, figuring nothing bad could happen, or they're figuring, 2008 could never repeat itself because this time is different. This time is different deserves a bell ring. Those are the 4 most dangerous words in the English language. Okay. Boris says, welcome back, Bill. Vacations are so overhyped. Okay, that is funny. So that leads us to your market update, okay, which says, welcome back by the fact. By is in quotes. So you may be out asking yourself, gee, Bill, did you smoke or drink anything on your vacation that made you stop being a bearish fiend even for one day? Like, well, no, I did not smoke or drink anything. But there are some comments that are out there that are giving me pause on being mega bearish today. Okay. And I'll share that with you in a second. All right. Let's first start talking about the dollar. So one thing to note is that Bitcoin and Ethereum have actually held up despite the fact that the dollar has gone up because the euro has crashed. Okay. Most likely because rising natural gas prices and the fact that the West is obviously losing the economic war with Russia, okay, the euro just crashed. Now, I look at this and I go, that looks kind of emotional to me, to be honest. Now, this is dollar yen. Now, dollar yen we talked about all the time on the stream, right? And we were like, dollar yen up, dollar yen up, dollar yen up, and it went up. It stopped at 136.5. So the euro looks emotional. Dollar yen is pausing. And now I'm looking here at the dollar index chart. Now, I have a joke on the stream, right? Every time the dollar index goes down, everybody goes, oh, the dollar index is topped. Buy Bitcoin, right? And then the dollar goes up and Bitcoin goes down. Right? Same thing happened over here at 103. Oh my God, it's topped. No, it's not. No, it didn't. Now, DXY is like kind of mooning, right? It's actually above resistance at 106.78, drawing it this way. So I guess, the dollar could be doing a monster breakout. People are afraid of a crisis, right? There are a lot of economic numbers coming out. Okay, the dollar rally has been so powerful it wrecked oil. In an old-fashioned economics textbook, it'll tell you dollar up, commodities down. So, oil topped and gold is tanking. And that's because King Dollar is wrecking everything. Wrecking everything except crypto. Interesting, don't you think? So this dollar trade looks kind of emotional to me, which leads me to believe that, all right, well, maybe the dollar is just going to indiscriminately moon, which it could, but maybe it's a little bit overdone, say for today or the next 2 weeks. That's just my first take, right? And one of the things you do as a technical analyst on vacation is you don't look at the charts on vacation, which I did not, right? And when you first come back from vacation, you don't make any huge calls or pronouncements. All I can tell you is right now, the dollar looks emotional. Okay, now let's talk about the word revulsion. A lot of times, bear markets or crashes can take a break when you get these like sensationalist headlines about how terrible everything is, right? From prior streams, right, you'll remember that every time somebody came in and said, don't worry, everything is all right, I was like, just keep selling. Just keep selling. Everything is all right, yours, right? Just RFP, relentless pressure, and I'll let you fill in what the F means. That was where I was. Then, right, on my Apple news feed, right, I saw this. Is crypto imploding? Jim Cramer thinks so. Ready? There's no real value there. Now let's talk about that point. So with crypto, I never said there's something wrong with crypto. I just said crypto has to be repriced. Repriced, right? For men behaving badly, for the Fed pulling liquidity out of the system. I never said there was anything wrong with crypto. I said there's something wrong, maybe nothing wrong. Crypto just has to be repriced. But now we're saying crypto has no value, right? None. There's no value proposition for the future of money. Nobody wants NFTs as art. Everything's worthless. And I'm like, now I have a huge amount of respect for Cramer because we have something in common, right? We have to create content every day. Now, sometimes when you create content every day, everything you say can't be accurate. But when I'm looking at this, right? So CNBC host Jim Cramer is taking issue with the crypto market, deeming it has no real value. On CNBC's Squawk Box, the former hedge funder took issue with the severe liquidity crunch across the entire sector. Now, again, because it's making headlines. And the insolvency faced by major firms such as Celsius and Three Arrows Capital. So to drive the point home, when we're talking about it on the stream, that's when you kind of trade it, when it's not really there yet, or everyone's telling you everything's all right. When it's on CNBC, it could be over, at least for the short term, for like a couple of days or maybe 2 weeks. Now here is more. Crypto does seem to be imploding. It went from 3 trillion to 1 trillion. And why should it stop at 1 trillion? Okay, that part's true. That's the part about crypto repricing. Now, here's what's not true. There's no real value there. What an awful assets. NFTs sold to you, made up. Yes, NFT market got stupid. But I've been talking about this on the stream, that a lot of NFTs are at zero. We have analysts they're minting and buying NFTs for $10. Okay, for absolute $10. So art and stocks are not correlated. Okay, they're not correlated. So to say that NFTs going forward are worthless, I don't know about that. I don't know. And that feels like revulsion. Okay, revulsion. And then also at the bottom, crypto econ, Jim Cramer sounds the alarm after calling Ethereum at the top terrific, and he's becoming a believer. Now, look, everyone who's been in markets, Cramer used to run a hedge fund. Everybody who's traded, including you, right? You all have something in common. You've all sold the low and bought the high, sometimes of the same move. So I get it, but this is revulsion. This does not make me want to be bearish. It makes me think I got too much company. Now, if we go back to the PowerPoint, again, here are some of the disaster headlines, right? Voyager Digital goes bankrupt. Okay. Voyager aims to give customers access to their accounts and return funds where possible. Again, once people get their money back, what are they going to do? That may be where Rectember comes from, where people actually get their money out and just unload. Right? But that's for later. Now let's talk charts. Right now, I'm looking at ETH on a weekly chart. Now, you've been kind of paid to ignore the fact that there's a 13 and a 9 bottom on the weekly chart of ETH. Really, the focus has been on, kind of what the monthly charts have been doing and how awful that looks. But now I'm starting to wonder. It's like, got disaster headlines, right? Cramer on the tape saying crypto's no good. And crypto was supposed to go down between the 3rd and the 7th of July, and crypto didn't go down. I'm like, that's interesting. So now I'm looking at the ETH chart, and I'm like, if there's a weekly close in ETH above 1150, the next point on this chart is 1700. Now, that could be a wick up and come back down. But if ETH actually managed weekly closes above some of these levels, now, ETH did close above these levels 2 weeks ago and then fell apart. But, with everybody being so bearish, closing and breaking out above chart points to me is now slightly more interesting. So this is a tough chart to see, but this is from the tokenmetrics.com artificial intelligence generated support and resistance levels for ETH. So 1050 was support. That got tested a couple times. And the resistance above the market is 1350. So if there was ever a squeeze, right? If it was ever, sell the rumor, buy the fact, ETH could go to 1350. Now, I'm not saying that's the end of the crypto downtrend, but I am wondering about the wisdom of being aggressively short if ETH starts to rally, right? In other words, you've been paid to just indiscriminately sell the market. Now I'm starting to wonder if ETH actually starts going up, particularly with some of these economic numbers that are coming out, like payroll, inflation, Fed minutes are today, right? So shorts can get greedy too. Like if ETH broke down, then you can go with it. But I'm starting to wonder about the wisdom of being short right here with ETH around 1150. Now let's go to Bitcoin. So Bitcoin on a weekly chart, okay, interestingly has both the 13 and the 9 bottom. That's over here. And again, you've sort of been paid to just ignore that, right? Because it's been sell every rally. And that may still be the case, right? I mean, Michael Saylor bought all this Bitcoin at 20 and it hasn't moved. So long-term hodlers sold all their Bitcoin to Michael Saylor. That's not necessarily a bullish development, but Bitcoin has not gone lower, right? So if it's supposed to go down based on Gann work and it doesn't go down, what would happen if it went up? So that's really the question, right? It's not, oh God, Bitcoin's going up, it's going to moon. The question is, where would it go if it did go up? Now, according to this DeMark chart, right, 25K would be where it would go up to. Now, on the token metrics work, it's a little bit more subdued, right? There's resistance at 21, right? And then there's also the next point would be at 24. So it's not a lot of room to run, but if they did squeeze everybody out, that's where it would go. Now let's take a look at the hidden pivot work in Bitcoin, right? 20,751 is the key level. So I think if we're all just sort of sitting here, there's nothing to do. But if it takes out 20,750, right, 23 is possible, just below 23, right? And the Williams oscillator is getting close to even, and that can trigger big moves. Now, in the past, I've just been sell every rally, it's awful. That may still be the case because, again, we don't know where the collateral is. We don't know where the bad positions are. It's men behaving badly. Well, behaving badly doing what? Taking risk, right? Leveraging existing collateral, okay? So, I mean, I'm not going to be shocked if I come in here tomorrow morning and this market's down 6%. I won't be. The question is, for this stream, if it doesn't go down 6 or 7% in one day, what can they do with this thing? What can they do if the market has lulled people into thinking that they can just stay short until they crack it? Because that's where I was before vacation, but it didn't crack. So now I'm like, gee, I wonder if they could rip this thing to the upside, because that would be horrible, right? If you're looking for a down market in August or a down market in the second half of July, saying nothing about September, you don't want to be short at 19 and have it ripped to 22 or 25 in your face. That would be awful, right? It would screw up your P&L and your head. Now let's look at ETH. So the Williams oscillator shows a big move is possible. Could be up or down. Interestingly, in ETH, when ETH went up off the lows and then came back down, right? It hung out while I was on vacation, right on top of the 62% retracement of the up move. So long-time stream readers will know that 62% is kind of like, if the market goes up and comes back 62% and holds, that can actually be bullish, right? For the moment, it can be. It's actually hard for me to say, but It could be, right? Because remember what I said, buyers showed up on a dip. So if you go back to the chart and you look at this, 1193 is a key level. And if ETH got above that, you could be looking for 1300, right? That's the old 2017 high. So, I mean, can you imagine, right, a scenario where ETH would go up to 1400? How would that happen in theory? All right, well, somebody out there, before vacation, we were talking about FTX. Somebody has taken down all the risk in the crypto system. They're trying to save these banks, and whatever assets the banks had, staked ETH, Bitcoin, someone's got it all. Someone's got it all, right? So what are they going to do with the collateral? Well, I don't know. If I was running a trading desk and, Sam handed me all the collateral in the system, and I'm like, well, gee, I'm super long here in a bear market or a crash. What would I do? Well, I'd start a rally. I'd be like, well, if I'm long all the ETH in the system, then I'm just going to get more long. I'm going to try to stop the shorts out. Okay? So this is where you can see the Williams oscillator is predicting some kind of big move, right? And you have Avalanche. Okay? Again, went up, came back off hard, scared everybody, but managed to recover back above the 62% retracement level. And again, the alligator moving average system is actually trying to go up, which is like, I mean, I can't remember, I can't remember when the last time I saw that, right? Where I was like, hey, this could actually go up. Now, 1680 is going to be the key level. So if it's above 1680, I'm done, right? I'm out. But, you have to be careful in some of these fast-moving altcoins that if you get evidence in the economic numbers that are coming out, right, that, tokens like Avalanche could scream up if they brutally squeeze shorts. Now, Cardano, I know the Cardano Nation is looking for some better news. I think Cardano's got to be above 46 cents before you can get too excited. So really, what this is developing as is it could develop as a squeeze. Whereas if the market doesn't go down today or tomorrow, right, if the people who are holding this collateral can hold up the market, the squeeze may be in things that everybody is short. And if there's no squeeze, well, then we know what happens, right? Like early part of July was supposed to be bearish. The middle part of July was supposed to be stable. So we don't know if they've switched places or we're actually going to see a real rally between now and the 15th. Okay, as a point of trivia, Bitcoin versus the ruble, Bitcoin in ruble terms is up only. Now, I'm showing you this just because this is what can happen when people get squeezed out or longs all come in at the same time. So I'm trying to be, relatively cautious coming out of vacation in terms of making strong statements. But I am telling short sellers that you got to be careful because even if the market does go back down again, you're going to have to watch those wicks on the way up. It'll be distressed selling. It'll be collateral liquidation on a mass scale. So if it does go down, like Bitcoin and ETH, there could be this big wicks back up before it continues. So be careful of the up-only squeeze and be careful of the wicks up if it goes down. Now, here's some evidence that, crypto is far from out of the woods. So Coinbase's stock in July of last year was $210. It's currently at $54, down 75% from the July lows from last year's decline, which feels like a million years ago. Okay, ETH last year was at 1,700. So if ETH matches Coinbase's stock, down 75%, ETH should be at 980. So this is just a reminder, beware the failed rally. That's why I want to see daily and weekly closes above certain levels before I can say, all right, a real squeeze or people are going to start FOMOing in the longs. Now, Marathon Digital, a highly leveraged, right, Bitcoin mining company, last year was at 20. Now it's at 590, down 70%. Okay, if you look at where Bitcoin was back then, to match what Marathon is doing, Bitcoin should be at 17. So like I said, there's a lot of big headlines out there. And the rally, that's why the rally at the title could be stability. Like the new rally is sideways. Because if crypto cracked again, this is what would happen. Right? And crypto, I think, has got 2 days to crack before maybe whoever's got all this collateral can try to ram the shorts higher. So this is a big inflection point over the next 24 hours. Now, when it comes to risk assets, economic numbers, stocks, bonds, I could go on and on and on, but I'm not. I'm going to give it to you simple, right? I think the barometer for stocks, inflation, all this stuff, right, is Tesla. I was in Austin, Texas for part of my vacation, right? Guys at that plant are working 72-hour weeks, mandatory overtime. I'm not sure that they can meet demand, right? Which could impact their earnings, right? And that's just the labor part of it, not just the materials. So if Tesla is below 703, there's a lot of risk there, right? In other words, there's risk in equities. If you have a recession, if oil is coming off because everybody's economy is going to kind of, sort of fall out of bed, that's the current thinking and legacy, then Tesla will probably get hammered because this is like everyone's hot growth stock. Now, for people who are fans of Tesla, the good news is there's a 9 bottom and there's support at 627, which ironically is exactly where Tesla was 1 year ago. So the good news is that, Tesla is where it was a year ago. It's not trading very well, but if it's still above 627, I don't know that massive doom and gloom is warranted right this second. So if it's below 700, not great. But if it's above 627, it might be all right, right? You just have to be careful about what all this data on the inflation statistics, the employment statistics, and I can't even begin to predict what that means, right? All right, so that is the market update. Let's go to the chat and see what we got in there. Jojo Wave is here. Eric, thank you. It's nice to be back. Okay. So Spin says, I like this, a little edgy. Woke mob buying electric cars that will not be able to charge due to no oil or no natural gas available, right? Wait till you see what happens to the price of electricity in Europe and Germany because the Russians taking that whole continent out to the woodshed, which personally I find appalling. I come from a family of cold warriors, so not a big fan of whoever is hurting our European allies. Okay. All right. So we have Megan is here. Welcome. Crypto Jack, right? No red flag anymore. Okay. No, that's not what I'm saying. Okay. What I'm saying is you have to be careful when you get these major kind of disaster headlines. Okay. Okay, now, just as an example of what men behaving badly can look like, I just got this news right now. So I'm sharing the screen. I'm on the block. Okay. So Uprise lost 99% of client funds while shorting Luna during its price crash. Okay. Uprise got liquidated trading Luna futures and lost $20 million of its clients' funds. Okay. So this is actually great. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Korean crypto startup Uprise lost all of its funds by shorting Luna during the crash and getting caught on the bear market rallies. So somebody had the right view, but didn't have the right implementation, which is the cardinal sin in trading. Okay, so, you know, you can play the bear market rally. You can say, hey, maybe a bottom is in. Either way. But if you're bearish and you're a short seller, you don't want to get killed if the market like is supposed to go down and doesn't, or some big over-the-counter desk starts pushing a thin board market to try to get the shorts to get stopped out, right? And what happens when shorts get stopped out? Think about it. You short, what do you have to do? You have to buy. Okay, when the shorts all buy, what are the guys holding all the sludge collateral going to do? Whoop. They're going to sell. Which is, again, is exactly what I would do. And when they write the history of this, they're going to write the history that somebody took down all the collateral, rammed it higher, sold it to retail, and then dropped it for Rectember. So you have to be careful of that, okay? All right, you have to be careful of that. All right, so somebody says going up or down, right? I love crypto YouTube. They're just like, you know what, dude? I don't care if you just got back from vacation. I need you to tell me up or down. I love you guys, and I want to help you with that. So if I had to make a guess, I would say, like, right now, if the market doesn't go down tomorrow, there's risk of up. Right? Is up before down is how I would say it. Now, if the market crashes tomorrow, then I'll never be bullish again my whole life. That's not true. But, you know, it'll be an example of turning your back on the bear. But I just think you got to be careful about getting too complacent with shorts. So, in other words, up is possible. So, equities tried to go down. Let's check equities like 89-minute. So equities aren't doing anything, right? Because they're waiting for economic numbers to come out. So nothing is happening in equities, nothing. Okay. Marathon Digital is correcting after yesterday's major run up. So, you know, there was, you know, this is kind of epic that they went from 518 to 607, you know, on a percentage basis. That's a big rally. Right. And that Williams oscillator on the 89-minute chart, I don't know, a couple more days, that may be close to zero. Right. Coinbase is coming off. Now, I think that there's also something worth looking at in legacy. I didn't kill you in the presentation with too much stuff on legacy, but and this sort of, you know, frankly sucks that gold just got destroyed. Right, it just got destroyed. You know, this is King Dollar wrecking everything. Right, dollar up, gold down. Right now, this feels kind of emotional to me. But you know, like if this was, you know, like, would you buy this? Probably not. Right? Okay, oil is borderline down only. Right, at the moment. So this is Brent crude, right? This is the bottom of its recent range. Now, obviously, we're going to find out if anybody wants to buy oil at 100. If they do, it can go back up, right? But if these economic numbers come out and they're awful, right? A lot of people are like, hey, oil's telling you that there's going to be a recession, okay? So, you know, agricultural futures, you know, I believe this is wheat coming off hard. Right? Now, one thing that guys like Kramer are talking about that could be right is that, you know, inflation may have topped. This is the other reason why I'm like throttling back on cowboy short crypto. Like everyone's like, oh, it's a recession. Maybe. Or maybe it's, oh, the rate of inflation. Because you got to remember, inflation and the pain of the price hikes is still with us. But if the rate that prices are increasing slows, right? So if inflation is like 8.5%, then you get a number saying, okay, maybe it's slowing down, right? Any hint of that, and stocks and Bitcoin are going to be higher. Now, it doesn't mean it's going to stay there, but I just don't want people who are bearish to get hurt, right? I don't. Because, if it breaks down, we know that people have got, terrible collateral that they're sitting on. Now, let's go to DeMark work. So as you can see, DeMark work on 90-minute charts is basically useless. This is ETH. There's nothing here. Maybe the next rally is the 13 top. Okay, in Bitcoin, you had the 13 top, I don't know, couple, this morning, and it's meant nothing, which is interesting. This is interesting, right? And if you look at ETH on a daily chart, these like DeMark and Gann bands, look at ETH popping inside the band, right? So ETH cracked it in mid-June, came back above it. This is where I was like, short it for a debacle in early July. There was no debacle, right? I mean, ETH is above this band. And I don't think ETH, I think the last time ETH touched this band was January, right? And maybe if we could compress the chart, ETH hits the top, comes off, right? This was September of last year. ETH goes parabolic through it in May, right? And then sell in May and go away hits, boom, right? So a lot of times when something is below these bands, they don't stay below these bands very long, right? Bitcoin has kind of hit the bands and gone sideways, right? Bitcoin has never really been, I don't really have anything on this chart that shows the last time Bitcoin hit the bottom. So it hit the bottom, made the 9 on the daily chart, and then did nothing. It did nothing for 2 weeks. So, I was worried the market was going to crash while I was on vacation. Thank God it didn't. So when I look at this, the next DeMark point on a daily chart for Bitcoin is at 26K. I don't think I want to be short if Jim Cramer is saying, hey, it's the worst asset in history, right? And this story, right, about the Korean startup that lost money, that blew out, as they say in futures, Chicago, they blew out trying to get short, and they missed it. So, it's unbelievable. Okay. Now, Bubba says, could gold be going lower because of the increase in supply from Uganda? Yes, there's a big supply, a big discovery of gold supply. Okay. So that's going to be a short-term negative for price. Okay. I'm sure there's plenty of people out there like the Russians and the Chinese that will be happy to literally buy all of that physical gold. Okay. Okay. Ricardo, I missed you guys too. I'm glad to be back. Okay. Let's check on some of the layer ones on the DeMark work. Let's just check out what's going on. Someone asking for Solana. Okay. I was looking at this earlier on our premium customer webinar for Token Metrics clients. I was actually using our site to do that. Okay. So here, this is Avalanche with DeMark resistance not up until 20, right? So, I mean, do you want to get killed in this when the down trade could come later? Solana is taking out, resistance at 36. Now, let's go to Token Metrics, right? Let's type in Solana. So I'll show you how we look at Solana via tokenmetrics.com. We have an AI-based support and resistance levels. This goes along a theme that I've been on prior streams where I'm You know, the only way to trade this market is to know where the support and resistance points are that no one can see, right? No one can see except token metrics customers. Okay. So let's look at this. 35 was support, or 35 became support. It pulled up short of a key level at 29. So I'm not thrilled about that, because if Solana ever went back to 29, I think you would see much lower prices. I never like it when you pull up short of a level. So if you go back down there, it goes through. Now, that said, that may not be today's trade. Today's trade, if you look at this chart, may be to tell you that the resistance in Solana, like, we're sitting in the middle of a range. So it's either going back to 35 or it's going to 40 to 48. Now, if you're bearish, do you want to get caught in a move to 40 or 45 in Solana? Yikes, I don't, right? And this could be, if you look at this over here very simply, right, this could be A, B, C, right? Remember how I told you to, I've said this before on streams, C leg, C waves, they could be nasty, nasty. Okay, let's see if I can take a look at Elrond. Okay, it's an ironic thing. It's like, you know, for since April, I've been like, don't get caught long, don't get caught, right? Now, I got a lot of people saying, hey, I want to be short forever. Why can't I just get short and leave it if it's going to get wrecked in September? I'm like, okay, well, that may happen, but you don't want to be short at the wrong prices. Okay, so Elrond, I had support. Let me see. I had it around 26. And you can watch me try to drive the site from here. All right, so here's the Elrond chart. And let's see where Elrond is relative to support. So this is very interesting, right? There's support in Elrond at 54. And Elrond has been down there 1, 2, 3 times. And the level above the market is 65. So again, support is at 54, right? And resistance is at 65. If you were going to be short this thing, you would want to be shorted at 65. I don't know that you want to be shorted down here. And then, of course, if there's people who want to double up and try to trade out of a bad position, well, you know, if the market's not down tomorrow, I don't have a problem with trying to do a counter trade. We're trying to grab some of this stuff. Why not? I mean, worst case happens, you get stopped out on a long, and then you turn around if it breaks support, and then you just get short. Right? But be careful when all the things that we were anticipating actually hit the tape, right? So such and such is bankrupt. Stock analyst thinks crypto has no value. Be careful of that. Okay? All right, so somebody says BTC bottom in October looks likely, in my opinion. Okay, so I stopped the screen share there. Yeah, I mean, you definitely have to be careful about Rectember. Right now, for all I've said about, you know, not wanting to get caught if the market doesn't go down tomorrow, okay, for all I've said, there's bad collateral out there somewhere, right? And the fact of the matter is, in equities, you know, rates went up. Inflation may or may not go down. We don't know. There's still geopolitical risk. And I don't see how earnings get maintained, right? Rates are not going lower. They just may go higher at a slower rate. Okay. But, you know, there's going to be another problem in September. We just don't know what that problem is. Most likely it's got to do with all this collateral, and it could also be stable coins. You know, there's a lot of people asking me, what's the next depeg going to be? I don't think that's the trade now, but that may be the trade in September. Or it could be something we don't know. Because in January, if I told you every crypto CeFi lender was going to blow up and go out of business, You would have tuned into somebody else. Now, the only thing I will change about the long-term forecast is I actually do think when Rectember is over or at some point in October, you could have a bottom earlier than I expected. Because I think there's going to be such problems in legacy. If crypto gets wrecked in September, by the end of that month, right, you may get something that's a little bit more enticing in terms of like prices, right? And crypto as an asset class, as an alternative to the euro, the yen, and even the dollar, right? I'm not sure how long you can have king dollar when you've got some of the problems like rising interest rates are blowing up the federal deficit. I saw that on Zero Hedge. In other words, it's increasing the amount of money the U.S. government has to pay to service its debt. So there could be a problem with sovereigns in September, right? That could drag down risk assets. And if crypto gets low enough, that's where you go, okay, now I'm grabbing some crypto. Okay. All right, let's take a look at, see if I can find Matic. Reshare the screen. Okay. Okay, so Matic on a 4-hour chart, nothing is happening. I think you have to really go to like daily and weekly charts. So again, with Matic, right, you hit a DeMark support point at 45 cents, right? Everything kind of goes sideways, but you're back above these bands, right? You're back inside the bands. I mean, the top in Matic was when, there were 3 FOMO attempts. The last FOMO attempt up at $3 when it finally failed at the top band, right? I mean, it's not exact, but like, it was up, 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 and Matic was like down and couldn't get back above it, but now it has. So, I don't know if there's people who want to be like, hey, I really like Matic and I want to take a shot. Take a shot. Right? I mean, if it doesn't work out, you just stop out and go back to being bearish. Right? But, some of this stuff looks like if people get too bearish or too uninvolved, right? Like Chase and Green is saying, they're late to the bearish party and they may wind up missing the bullish party. Okay. Let's check to see what else we got in here. Where have I been? I went on vacation. It's been so long since I've actually been on vacation, right? Joseph is going to cook. Joseph, enjoy your meal. Okay. Crypto Crane says, stream every day or every other day if you can, Bill. Yes, I'm back now and not anticipating any more vacation anytime soon. So worry not. All right, so let's sum this up. One, be careful when everybody gets bearish off major news headlines, right? Even the most bearish of people can stop being bearish when you get company. Now, that said, there's bad collateral out there, right? Just because somebody writes a big check to bail out lenders, that doesn't mean once people get their money back, if they get their money back, that's not going to result in selling, right? Like if you put 100 ETH into a lender and only got 50 ETH back, you may not be interested in keeping that 50 ETH. That says nothing about what the lender was doing. So that trade is coming. That's the next trade. Naturally, because that's the trade the media is not talking about, or crypto Twitter, or anybody else. That's the trade we want to be on. Now, if you want to be long, if you want to take a shot, if you think this could be the bottom, okay. Just if you're bearish, don't get killed. Don't try to short this thing and then have it like go up 25% in your face. you're stopping out, right? FTX is selling their crypto to you right before it plummets. So if you're bearish, you got company. Be careful of that. Okay, if you're bullish, you want to take a shot, feel free. The market doesn't go down tomorrow. We could have 2 weeks of stability. If we have 2 weeks of stability, it may be a good time to go on token metrics. Okay, just saying, folks, just saying. It may be a good time to go on token metrics and check out a feature that, we really haven't been able to use much in the bear market. Okay, it's been useful in spurts, but we do have a feature that if the market does go up, our AI is featuring, all the different coins that you can look at, right? To be long for either that day or that week. So one coin that I'm interested in is Dydx. The derivative space inside of crypto has been doing well. Okay, so this is Dydx, right? You can see the token metrics grade has actually popped for this. The price has done nothing. Okay, but the token metrics grade has gone up a lot, right? So if I then turn around and look at the chart, right? I mean, it would be really interesting if there was a green signal here. I don't know. Sometimes by the time it goes up, that could be the time to exit. But we do have something on our markets page. Right? That shows you what's going on in certain sectors. Now, again, this has been, not that easy to use, right? Because everything's been going down. But look, the derivatives sector, because we actually do this by groups, the derivatives sector has got a grade of 56. Now, normally we like to see higher grades, but it's not 0 or 15 anymore. So there's something going on in derivatives, all right? So use token metrics, find a sector, keep an eye on it. If the market goes up for 2 weeks, it could be an opportunity because most people have to be organically either out of the market or long. Okay, do not bet the farm. Do not bet the rent money on any long or any short. Remember, there's a lot of economic data coming out, and I know this is not popular, but if you don't know what to do, don't do anything. Okay, don't do anything. All right. So again, be careful when you have company on the bearish side. Okay, when nobody wants to be long, that's when you can get the squeezes. Because don't forget, big players can push the market. There's an incentive for whoever's got the sludge collateral to ram the market higher. Don't get rammed. Don't get rammed. There's something out there, but that may be a late July or September trade. All right. So that's it for today. I'm back. I'll be back tomorrow. So stay tuned with token metrics and the market update. We'll see you tomorrow. Hey, you guys out there? Am I still on the air? All right. Well, we want to thank everybody for joining the stream. We're trying out some new things. We do have some good comments here. People are saying, layer 0 is big for the next bull cycle. Okay. We're also hearing that, DYDX and Uniswap are talking about moving over to Cosmos because they're over the whole ETH thing. Very, very powerful theme. No one's talking about Polkadot. No one's talking about Cosmos. Like, we were trying to sell Web3 to the mainstream media in early 2021, and no one wants to talk about it. Now everybody's running around. If they have a JPEG, they're like, ooh, I'm in Web3. No, actually, Web3 is Polkadot, Cosmos, interoperability. And if they mark this stuff down far enough, people, that is where you want to be. So the question is, am I still on the air? Driftless Crypto says, yes, I am still on the air. All right. Well, I'm still on the air. So we're apparently having technical difficulties that have left me on the air. So let's try something else. Okay. All right. So we have, let's talk about Polkadot, or let's talk about Cosmos. Start it. Okay, so that's Polkadot weekly, right? And let's see let's try to draw some pivot work here to see how destroyed Polkadot really is, whether or not it actually got the support. See, look at that. Okay. So, this is like what I'm talking about when I'm talking about, I don't know, at least some sort of level of caution about being short or about getting too bearish when stuff is down. So there's a lot of support in Polkadot. Polkadot is trading below resistance around, I don't know, I guess it's around 715, right? It depends on how you draw this. Okay, so there's support at 5. So you're basically watching me try to figure out where support and resistance is live. Again, with Polkadot, it looks like it's around 705. So, if everybody's given up on this stuff, you got to be careful if they squeeze anybody. Now, I just saw a headline come through that, and again, that's what I'm trying to say, right? The news is so bad, it might be good. That, like, Voyager, the people who thought that their dollars were FDIC insured, yeah, that's not going to protect them from the bankruptcy. So, like, yeah, I'm FDIC insured. You got to be careful, but that is what's hitting the tape, right? That's what's out there. Now, Cosmos is so beat up. I don't know if I can draw anything in Cosmos. Maybe we can check the DeMark work on Cosmos. Let's try that. Okay, so the DeMark work on Cosmos, there's resistance at 944. It could take that out. Now let's look at Cosmos weekly. Okay, again, Cosmos was at 45, and then it went to 9. So there's a 9 bottom down here, and this thing may be going the other way. So you know what, folks? There are going to be people out there. You got to also, like, visualize this. There are a lot of people out there who, they've been sort of like, I don't know, we were like savagely bearish all the way down, and anybody who wasn't savagely bearish missed the trade. Now, what the people who missed the down trade are going to do, they're going to be like, oh, well, I got to get on the next trade. This is a bottom. I got to get on it. So you got to be careful of like trend followers and frustrated bulls or frustrated anybody from coming in and buying some of this stuff up, right? I did not mean to do that. All right. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to look at my producer here and see if I'm still on the air. All right. Am I still on the air? Okay. Shaba says, when in doubt, chart it out. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to try to sign off one more time. Remember, there's a lot of beat up crypto out there, right? I don't want people to get caught short because the next big down trade may be later. If it's not tomorrow, it's probably later. Let's leave it at that. Okay. The market's got 2 days to fall apart. If it doesn't, if it's supposed to go down and it doesn't, it's going to go up. So don't get caught. All right, folks, that's it. I'm your host, Bill Noble. I will see you.